This is going to be video number 13 on the odds and ends hit and miss engine, and today we're going to make the muffler or spark suppressor, or whatever you want to call it. And this is the way I make it. The plan calls for a very simple one with a funnel shaped first section and then just a plate on the front with holes in it. Well, that probably work all right, but it doesn't look very good. It's pretty utilitarian. But this is a thing of beauty. So I'm going to show you how to make this and not use a lot of brass. I'm going to start off by making this piece here, and I'm not going to turn it onto this because that's a lot of waste of material. I'm going to use a piece of 5/16 brass. So I put the 5/16 in the chuck, and the first thing I'm going to thread is a 5/16 fine thread on this end, and on the other end I'm going to use a 5/16 40. See if that's good enough. I think that's good enough. Yep, that's plenty. Now we're going to part this off at 3/4 of an inch. This is nothing fussy. I'm just going to measure it with a ruler right there. Now I'm going to just turn that around, put it back in the chuck, and put the 40 thread on it. A little bit of cutting oil. There it is. Now we got to drill a hole through it. I always thread it first so that I don't take a chance on wringing it off when I drill it. I go through first with an 1/8 inch hole. So this is a number 1 brass drill, because I already have a hole in there. That's finished. You can see there's just enough meat there to hold on this end, but you'll notice here there's quite a bit more meat with the 40 thread. So you would be better off to use a 40 thread if you have it, and it makes it a little stronger. So the second part I'm going to make is the part that screws onto that. And I'm just going to put a 40 thread in it, and it's made out of what, this is 1.125" material, brass. That's why I don't want to waste it. Use as little as possible. Then I'm going to drill a hole for a 5/16 40 thread. And first I got to measure and see how deep it is. That piece is only got to go in 400 thousandths. So I'll start off with a spotting drill, 1/8, and then I'll run right in there with the tap drill. So I'm going to drill in there 400 thousandths. 3, 4. Actually, I can go a little deeper in that because the other piece is going to be a pocket, so that'll give me a little more room for the tap. Now the tap drill for a 440, my chart doesn't cover a number 40 thread for 5/16, so I got to experiment here, and I'm going to write it down this time. I've done it before. This is a 9/32 drill. See if I can start the tap in there. See if that's big enough hole for it. Seems to be starting in there. see. It's going. I'm not going to power tap this because it's not much of a thread. Just a little more and I'll have enough. That should be plenty. It's about 10 threads I get in there. That should be way more than enough. Before I take that out of there, what I'm going to do is just trim this off and file it to that shape. I got to get a tool to start the radius with. This is just I guess it's about a 1-inch radius tool. I'm going to run it in there and then file it from there on. You can see that it did a pretty good job. I just hit it with a file and take the burrs off of it. I forgot one thing though. See what I forgot? I forgot it has a flange on it. So I got to do that flange and then finish that again. The flange is about a 1/16 deep. Go in here, touch that off. So zero it out. Crank it in 30, 62. There's my flange. Now I got to put that radius tool back in there and hit it again. That looks pretty nice to me. I'll just part that off. Now I'm not going to try to part that off all the way maybe. I might finish sawing. I'll see how the cutter goes. I don't think, this might go in deep enough, but I don't think so. I don't want to take a chance on jamming my cutter, so sometimes I just saw it off after I mark it good. I'm just going to finish that with a saw. What I have here is a piece of 5/16 that I did before with a 40 thread on it, and I'm going to use that for an arbor. Screw that on there so I can finish it. I don't want to use the pipe that I drilled because it might break off if I gouge too deep. This is solid. So this will probably spin on there a little bit when I start cutting, but it'll get tight eventually. Actually, I can move it up against the chuck and keep it from going on too far. Put it right up against there and it won't go in too far. Now what I'm going to finish this with on the inside is just this older carbide cutting tool that I ground off with a real big radius on it, so I can go in here and I can cut that without using a ball cutter. And I have to leave enough flange for the bolts. So what I'm going to do for the width of the flange is just measure the head of the bolt and make it a little wider than that head. So that's 1/8, a little plus. So I'm going to 1/30. So I'll make this little flange here 1/30. So right now it's about 170. I've got to come up with about another 40. All right. You measure that. This is all by eye. If you made it a little narrower, it isn't going to matter. That's pretty close. That's pretty close right there. So using that line for a reference, I'm just going to carve out the inside of this and hopefully not go through the whole thing. I think that should be plenty. See that left me a few threads to screw that through that short nipple into, and it's plenty of cavity. When I get two sides this size, it'll be quite a cavity in there. So this part is only about 400 thousandths thick, a little less. So I'm gonna put that radius on there. I'm doing the inside radius first this time, the inside pocket, because then I'm gonna bolt it on here and finish the outside. Now I have a little pocket here, so I can start with that. I might have to go a little deeper on it. We'll see how it is. But I'll leave the same flange on this one, 1/8. I gotta leave enough to part it off, so I'll just pull it out to about there. I can go a little more. I gotta face it. I didn't face it off first. I just gotta face it here a little bit. So I think that'll work out about right. I can probably go in a little deeper with it. I'm gonna take and run a drill in there first. Get the center part out. I think just a spotting drill will do it. That should be pretty good. Let me measure how deep it is to give you a reference. It's 240 deep. That's going to be plenty deep. So this is only, what did I say, 300? Yeah, about 300 wide, so 240 is plenty. I'm going to mark that with the parting tool. Go in 300. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go 310, just in case. So that's what we got so far. So what I'm going to do here is put those 3 marks for the screws, and I've got a 5/32 end mill, and I'm just going to go in a little tiny bit less than the end mill. I think I used an 1/8 inch on that one, and the problem was that it wasn't quite big enough and the screw head hit. So I'm going to use a little bigger one this time. So I'm going to mount this in my little 3-jaw. This 3-jaw is in the chuck. It's a lot faster than setting up the rotary table. I can just put it in my chuck and do simple jobs. Okay, gotta get an Allen wrench too for that. Which one it is? I'm going to set this right about 0, way around there. I'm going to line that up basically with the center of the thing, just by eye. Come in here. That should work out pretty good. Actually, I got to come in on them because I got to clear the teeth, the jaw teeth. That should do it. We're going in an 1/8 inch. So this is the 120 cut, 120 degrees. And then 240. So now I'm going to solder the other one to it. So what I'm going to do is soft solder the 2 of those together and get them as aligned as possible. And then I'm going to put this in the vise and finish the outside of this one. and then I'm going to drill and tap the holes, and it'll be finished. So I'm just going to stick a couple of pieces of solder in here, hopefully 90 degrees apart, or 180 apart rather. Put that on there, you heat it up. When the solder melts, it'll drop down, and then I'll try to center it. That looks pretty good. Close enough. Give that a minute to cool just in case. Go. So now I'm going back to the solid mandrel so I don't break the little nipple. Slide it right up against the chuck so it doesn't spin on there so tight that I can't remove it. Number one is to face it off. Now I'm going to go in and leave enough for thread, so that's about it. You can see they're about equal width. So just so they match, I'm going to just eyeball that and make it about the same diameter as the other one. That looks good right about there. Go back to my radius tool. See how I'm cutting this? What I'm doing is cutting some off of here and then some off of the face with the tool. I don't just go straight in with the tool. Now I'm going to file it. I like to put a little chalk on the file to make it keep it from clogging. See if we're happy with that. I've still got some saw marks in here I've got to take out. Didn't quite get deep enough with that file. I'll take this out of here and file it a little more. Yeah, that looks a lot better.
No.
That should buff out pretty nice. I just touched it. Okay, this is a 1/8 inch transfer punch, and I should be able to lay that right up in that little curve and tap it and get a prick punch mark right in the right spot. That was easy. Now I can take a drill. I'm just going to take the tap drill and go through on each one of those prick punch marks, and it'll go into this. So what that is I've got a 172 brass screw in there, and I'm going to do a 54 drill. A 54 drill. A little smaller. And I probably don't have to use a center drill in that, or the spotting drill, because these drills are so small, but I'll find out pretty quick. Now I'm going to just heat that up and separate it and finish drilling and tapping those holes. Just going to finish those holes. I didn't go all the way through with them because they were hitting the vise. Then I'm going to tap them 172. See if I can find something to set that on. Let me make sure that's a 170 tap in there. This is a 172. Now I'm going to sand the solder off of both of them and see if I can screw them together. Now I should have match marked those when I had them soldered together, but the hole should be perfect anyway, but we'll try it. What I'm going to do here is open up the hole so the screw will fit through it, the clearance hole. And for a 172, clearance should be about 75 thousandths. So we'll go 48. Because I didn't match mark that, I'm just going to try screwing this together any which way. And then after I get it together, I'm going to match mark it. And that looks like it. Okay. So now what I got to do is cut the screws so they're the right length. So I can shorten these screws, what I did was take one of these little collets and I put a little notch in it. So I have to shorten these screws up. So what I did is I put a little, put this in the lathe, and I took a boring tool and I just cut a little slot so this screw will just lock in there. And now I can take and sand the thing to length and clean it up. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. See, that's now locked in there pretty solid. What I'm going to do is sand this down and then round it off. So now I can pull that out of there, hopefully. These screws are quite short, so let me show you what the result is. There's what I'm shortening them down to. That may be almost too long. So I put 2 screws in it. Now what I'm going to do is just cut a relief for the thread on this side and do it with the same setup that I had to do these. You know what I have to be careful of? This has to be really tight. I'm going to try to come in from the top on these and just touch them, just so I have clearance for that thread. That's all I'm doing. I've got to take it out of there because I've got to remove the screws. I could have avoided this process if after I soldered it together and did this part, I should have came back and done these reliefs for the screws before, and then I wouldn't have to do it now. See, all I'm doing is just giving a little relief here for the screw to come through because the threads were hitting there. And as you can see, it's all the way around. But I should have done that before I unsoldered it. Putting this together is not that easy with my fumbly fingers. I've got the match marks there. Thanks to Jim, I remembered to put the match mark on it. If I can get one screw in it, it'll be a lot easier. One screw started. There it goes. Okay, so what I have here is some 1/8 inch stock, and these I believe are 50 thousandths I made them. I'll measure one if I find my caliper. 45 thousandths actually. I think I was shooting for 50 and made them 45, but just, you want a good gap around here for the exhaust to come out of. So now I'm going to put another screw in here, put the washer on it. If I'm real careful, I can slide that together. One more screw to go. Now all it is to do is buff it. Just going to give it a quick buff and show you what it looks like finished. Here's the finished product. And you can see there's a flat on here, and the reason for that is if I made it, I'd have to use more material, so I just leave that little flat on there. I think it looks fine. It isn't completely round, and it's a flat on this side too, so it uses less material. Perfect. And I'm actually using the Chinese gears, but you could use any gear that you made. And it's a 40 tooth and a 20 tooth. And this is a 32 pitch, but it's a mod 0.8 32 pitch gear. That's the end of number 13 of the odds and ends hit and miss. And next week I'm going to show you the camshaft and how to make it, and I'll show you how to make it fit to this gear. This is the Chinese gear, and we'll send you the information on where to get those gears. They're $14. It's pretty cheap. I won't be making one next week. I'm going on vacation, so I'll see you the following week. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So before we finish this video, I'm going to show you the gears. These are two gears that I made before for this engine, and they're extras. But I went on the web and I found that you can buy these from China. And with shipping, I think the two of them cost me about 14 or 15 bucks. And it's not worth making them if you can buy them. And this is a 0.8 metric, is a mod 0.8. And so it's written as M.8 32 pitch. This is a 40 tooth and a 20 tooth. And I'm going to give Jim a picture of that website so that you can have that and you can order these gears. And they work out good. The only thing about them is they are case hardened. So it's kind of hard to break through the hardened shell to drill them and make them the size. But if you have a carbide bit or something, it's fairly easy. But it is hardened on the outside, and you have to drill them and so forth. So